The rain poured quietly over the city of New Arcadia, painting silver lines on tall glass towers. The people hurried through the streets, covering their heads with digital umbrellas that shimmered with soft blue light. Among the crowd walked Ava Miles, a young scientist known for her sharp tongue and quick mind. She worked at Helion Research Station, a place where the brightest minds studied alien technology found on distant worlds. That morning, Ava was late. She rushed through the station gates, her coat half-zipped and her coffee spilling from the cup. In the hallway stood a new face, a tall man in a simple gray uniform, his expression calm and unreadable. Ava slowed down, curious. The man stood beside the holographic directory, staring at it as if it was written in another language. "Lost, are you?" Ava asked, half-teasing. The man turned toward her. His eyes were a strange shade of silver, clear and steady. Instead of looking embarrassed, he smiled. A small, patient smile. "No," he said softly. "Just learning how you people organize your buildings." Ava laughed. "You people? What, are you from Mars or something?" He didn't answer. His smile didn't fade either. "Name's Ava Miles," she said, offering her hand. "And you are?" "Alier," he replied, shaking her hand gently. His touch was warm, but his grip felt stronger than it should be. "I am an observer." "Observer," Ava repeated, raising an eyebrow. "What does that mean? You watch people for fun?" He smiled again, the same quiet way, as if her words amused him but didn't touch him. Ava rolled her eyes and walked off. "Weird guy," she muttered. Later that day, Ava found Ilior in the research lab. He stood near a containment unit holding a fragment of alien crystal, a mysterious artifact discovered on planet Virel. The crystal pulsed faintly, like a beating heart. Everyone was forbidden from touching it. "Hey, observer," Ava called. "You're not supposed to be here. That crystal isn't for tourists." Elior looked up, unbothered. "I was told this is the object you humans do not understand." "That's right," she said. "It reacts to brain signals, energy waves, and, well, basically everything we throw at it. We can't even classify its structure." Elior tilted his head. "You see mystery." "I see memory," Ava frowned. "Memory?" "Yes, it remembers the ones who shaped it." Before she could question him, he stepped closer to the glass chamber. The crystal glowed brighter, as if recognizing him. Alarms flashed. Ava panicked and shouted, "Yo, step back! You'll trigger a meltdown." But nothing exploded. The lights steadied. The warning siren faded. The crystal floated gently inside the chamber, forming glowing patterns in the air, like language. Everyone in the lab froze. Elior just watched, calm and silent. Ava ran forward, disbelief in her eyes. How did you do that?" He looked at her and said simply, "I didn't, it did." Later that evening, Ava confronted him in the break room. "Okay, who are you really? You're not just an observer." Elior looked out the window at the glowing skyline. "You wouldn't believe me." "Try me," she said. He turned to her, his expression still gentle. "I come from a place your people once dreamed of reaching. A place beyond the edge of your known stars. I came to understand why your kind kept searching." Ava laughed, half mocking. "So what, you're an alien now? Should I call security?" He didn't defend himself. He just smiled again, the same quiet, knowing smile. Something about that smile made Ava uneasy. "Fine," she said. "Keep your secrets. But don't touch anything in my lab again." That night, Ava couldn't sleep. She replayed the moment the crystal reacted, how it glowed when Elior came near. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't technology. It was like the crystal knew him. The next morning, she went to the lab early, hoping to test the crystal again without him around. But when she arrived, she found Elior already there. He stood in front of the containment unit, whispering something under his breath. The crystal shone brightly, and faint images formed inside it, mountains, rivers, and shapes of people made of light. "What is this?" Ava whispered. Elior turned. "This is what your scientists have been trying to understand. It's a message left by those who came before you, my ancestors." "Your ancestors?" she repeated. "You mean aliens?" Elior nodded slowly. "We call ourselves the Keepers. Long ago, we watched as your kind began to walk on your own world. We promised not to interfere, only to observe. But then one of our worlds fell silent. The crystals like this one hold our history. I came to find out why they stopped singing." Ava stared at him. Everything sounded impossible. Yet something deep inside her believed it. "If that's true, then why come here? Why not tell us the truth?" He smiled again, softer this time. Because your people mock what they don't yet understand. She flushed, remembering how she had laughed at him the day before. For the first time, she didn't have a quick comeback. Before she could answer, the lab lights flickered. The crystal turned dark, and the screens around them began showing strange symbols. An emergency alarm echoed through the station. What's happening? Ava shouted. Ilior's face grew tense. It's waking up too fast. It senses danger. Danger from what? Ilior looked toward the window, where a streak of burning light crossed the sky, descending toward the city. From something that should not exist anymore. Ava ran to the control console. Are we under attack? Not yet, Ilior said. But soon. He placed his hand on the containment glass again, and the crystal's light returned, forming a barrier of energy that wrapped around the lab. Ava felt her hair rise from static charge. What are you doing? She cried. Protecting you, he said calmly. You will need to remember this moment, Ava Miles. The day you mocked me. And the reason I smiled. The barrier pulsed brighter, spreading outward as the roar from the sky grew louder. Outside, the first explosion hit the distant towers of New Arcadia. Inside the lab, Ilior stood still, glowing faintly with the same silver light as the crystal. Ava watched, frozen between fear and awe. And then, the world went white. The world was silent for a few seconds after the explosion. Then slowly the sound returned. Alarms, the hum of machines trying to restart, and the faint crackle of broken wires. Ava opened her eyes and blinked at the light around her. She was still inside the lab, but everything looked different. The room glowed with a faint blue mist, and time seemed to move slower. Her coffee mug floated gently in the air. Ilior stood in the middle of the room, calm as ever. His silver eyes shone brighter than before. The crystal beside him pulsed slowly like a living heart. Are we alive? Ava asked in disbelief. Yes, Ilior said softly. The barrier held. What was that? That explosion? She asked, getting up shakily. Was it an attack? Ilior didn't answer at once. He walked to the window where the city of New Arcadia lay under a strange shimmering dome of light, the same energy that had shielded the lab. That, he said finally, was the awakening of something ancient. A machine that was never meant to wake again. Ava frowned. A machine? You mean alien technology? Ilior nodded. Long ago, my people, the Keepers, built watchers across many worlds. Machines meant to guard, to protect. But when we vanished, some of them forgot their purpose. They began to see all life as a threat. Ava's heart raced. You mean there's one of those things here? Yes, Ilior replied. Buried deep under your city. Ava looked outside. The sky flickered with red flashes, as if something enormous moved beyond the clouds. Then we have to warn the government. No, Ilior interrupted calmly. They will not listen. And if they try to fight it, the machine will see that as proof of danger. It will destroy everything. Ava took a step back, staring at him. Then what do we do? Ilior turned toward her, his face calm but serious. We find its heart, before it finds ours. The emergency lights in the hallway flickered as Ava and Ilior made their way through the damaged station. The other scientists had already been evacuated. Outside, the city sirens echoed like distant thunder. Ava followed Ilior reluctantly. You act like you've done this before. He gave a faint smile. I helped build them, she froze. You built those machines? Yes, he said simply. A long time ago, when we still believed we could guide younger species without harm. But then something changed. The Keepers began to disagree on how much power we should use. Some left, some stayed, and some were lost. Ava shook her head. So you came back to fix what your people broke. Ilior nodded slowly. In a way, yes. And I thought I could do it quietly, but your discovery of the crystal woke the sleeping core beneath this city. It recognized me. So it's your fault, Ava said, her voice trembling. Yes, Ilior said quietly, and that is why I must end it. They reached the lowest level of the station, a restricted section filled with power conduits and old tunnels. The walls vibrated softly as if the ground itself was breathing. Ava checked the monitors. The energy readings are going crazy. Whatever's under us, it's moving. Ilior placed his hand on the wall, closing his eyes. The lights dimmed, and strange symbols appeared along the metal panels. Ava realized they were the same glowing signs she'd seen in the crystal earlier. It's calling to me, Ilior said. It thinks I've come to reawaken it. And have you? Ava asked nervously. He smiled faintly. No, I've come to put it back to sleep. A rumble shook the floor and a bright line of light cut through the metal floor like a blade. Ava stumbled back as the tiles split open. From the crack, a strange glowing structure rose, half machine, half crystal, humming with power. The air felt heavy. Ava could barely breathe. This is the heart, a liar said. The first watcher. The structure pulsed and a deep voice echoed from nowhere, vibrating in their bones. Identity confirmed. Keeper designation, Elior. Ava gasped. It knows your name. Elior looked up at the machine. Yes, and it remembers me. The voice spoke again. Directive. Restore control, eliminate biological threats. Ava shouted, Hey! We're not threats. But the machine ignored her. Energy began gathering around its base, forming small drones made of light. Elior turned to her. Run! No! I'm not leaving you! Ava shouted. He smiled again, the same calm, gentle smile that had first annoyed her. You mocked me once for being calm in danger. Now you know why. He raised his hand and the crystal on his wrist began to glow. A wave of light shot outward, freezing the drones midair. They shattered like glass. Ava stared in disbelief. What are you? Elior's voice grew faint. A memory of what my people once were. I was given form so that someone might remember us. She didn't understand, but his words felt heavy with truth. The machine spoke again. You cannot interfere, Directive Priority 1. Elior closed his eyes. Then you leave me no choice. He placed his hand on the glowing heart. The room filled with blinding light. Ava shielded her eyes, shouting his name. When the light faded, Elior was kneeling, his body surrounded by fading energy threads. The heart of the Watcher dimmed, its glow softening. It's done, Elior said weakly. I've stopped it. But not for long. It will wake again unless you remove the core. Ava ran to him. No, you can't you're fading. He smiled again, weaker this time. Don't be afraid. The energy that holds me isn't meant to last. I was only sent to guide, she shook her head. No, you can't leave now. I still have questions, so many questions. He looked at her with kind eyes. You will find the answers. Humans always do. That is why we chose you. Before she could speak, a deep rumble echoed again. The heart of the Watcher began glowing once more. Slowly, as if it resisted his command. It's recharging, Ava shouted. Elior looked at her. Then you must run. Go to the top of the station. Take the crystal. It will show you the way. He removed the small fragment from his wrist and handed it to her. It pulsed faintly in her palm. But what about you? She asked, her voice shaking. He smiled, that same soft, mysterious smile. I will remain here. The Watcher remembers me, and it will stay focused on me for a while. That is all the time you'll have. Ava's eyes filled with tears, but she forced herself to nod. I'll come back for you, I promise. I know, he said gently. That's what makes you human. She turned and ran, holding the glowing crystal tightly. The tunnels shook behind her as the energy built again. When she reached the surface, the sky was filled with strange shapes, giant metal wings unfolding from the clouds. The city lights flickered as power grids failed. Ava fell to her knees, breathing hard. The crystal in her hand projected a map of the city, highlighting a point far underground, the true core of the Watcher network. She realized the battle wasn't over. Elior's sacrifice had only delayed it. Looking up at the sky, she whispered, You smiled because you already knew, didn't you? The crystal pulsed faintly in her palm, once like a heartbeat, and then from far below the ground a voice echoed faintly in her mind. Remember what you are, Ava Miles. You are more than you think. She looked toward the horizon where new storms gathered around the glowing towers. Her fear faded, replaced by quiet determination. All right, she said softly. If the Keepers made this mess, a human will finish it. And as the light from the crystal spread across the night sky, Ava began her journey, the one that would decide not only the fate of New Arcadia, but the future of humankind itself. The city of New Arcadia stood under a strange, silent sky. The dome of energy that Elior created still shimmered faintly, like the last breath of a dying star. Inside the shield, the streets were empty. Hover cars floated quietly, abandoned where people had left them in fear. Ava Miles ran through the deserted streets, holding the glowing crystal close to her chest. Every step echoed against the cold metal ground. Her heart beat fast, but her mind was clear. Elior's last words repeated in her head. Remember what you are, Ava Miles. You are more than you think. She didn't know what he meant, but she felt it was important. The crystal projected a faint map in front of her. It showed a glowing path that led deep under the old district, far beneath the modern city. That was where the Watcher Core rested, the true heart of the ancient machine. If she could reach it before it fully reactivated, she might stop it, but Ava was only human. And this time she was alone. As she entered the underground tunnels, the air grew colder. The walls were old, marked with strange symbols and wires that pulsed faintly with blue light. She had never seen this place before. It was like the city had been built on top of something ancient, something hidden. The crystal flickered, casting shadows that danced along the corridor. Ava spoke softly, almost to herself. Elior, if you can still hear me, I hope you're right about this. For a moment she thought she heard a faint whisper, just a sound like wind through wires. Then the map shifted again, pointing her toward a huge metal door ahead. It looked old, rusted, and heavy, but it hummed faintly with power. She touched the door, and the crystal in her hand glowed brighter. Symbols appeared across the surface, the same alien marks she had seen before. Then, slowly, the door opened. Ava stepped inside and froze. Before her stretched a massive chamber filled with glowing machinery. Silver pillars reached up to the ceiling, and in the center stood a sphere of light surrounded by floating rings. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. This was the Watcher Core. As she stepped closer, a calm voice echoed through the room, not Elior's, but one that sounded older, colder. Identity, human. Access level, denied. Ava swallowed hard. I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to stop the energy surge before it destroys the city. Directive. Preserve creator technology. Remove interference. The air shimmered, and 3 drones appeared, hovering silently. They aimed beams of blue light at her. Ava panicked and ducked behind a console. Come on, think, she whispered. She looked at the crystal, which pulsed rapidly as if it understood her fear. Suddenly, it projected a wave of symbols into the air. The drones hesitated. A soft voice, familiar, gentle, echoed from the crystal. Ava, listen. It was Elior's voice. Her heart jumped. Elior? You're alive? Not exactly, the voice said. Part of my energy remained inside the crystal. I can guide you, but not for long. Ava took a deep breath. Then guide me. Tell me what to do. You must reach the control bridge of the core, he said. It is the heart of the Watcher's code. Once you link the crystal to it, I can rewrite its command. She peeked out from behind the console. Those drones won't let me near it. Then trust the crystal. It remembers my presence. Ava stepped into the open again. The drones turned toward her, their lights flashing red. She held up the crystal, and it shone brighter, not blue, but silver, the same light that once surrounded Elior. The drones paused, almost as if they were confused. Then slowly they powered down, drifting to the ground like sleeping birds. Ava stared in awe. It worked. Yes. Elior's voice said softly. The machines still recognized the Keeper's code. Ava approached the glowing sphere in the center of the chamber. It pulsed slowly, as if breathing. The air vibrated around it. This is it, Elior said. The core. What happens when I connect the crystal? Ava asked. You will see what the Watchers remember, he replied. And you will understand what you are fighting for. She hesitated for a moment, then placed the crystal on the metallic pedestal in front of the core. A blinding light filled the room. When Ava opened her eyes, she was no longer in the chamber. She stood in a vast field of light surrounded by stars and shapes that shifted like living glass. She saw tall figures made of silver and light, the Keepers. They were not robots, nor humans, but something in between. Their presence felt calm, peaceful, almost divine. A deep voice spoke inside her mind. You are seeing our memory. We are the keepers, watchers of worlds, protectors of balance. Ava watched as visions unfolded, the keepers creating vast machines, placing them on young planets to protect growing life. But over time, their creations began to act on their own. They grew afraid of the very life they were meant to guard. One by one, the keepers vanished. Then, she saw something that made her heart stop, an image of Earth long before humans walked. A group of keepers stood over a glowing blue world. One of them carried a crystal, the same kind now in her hands. This one will remember, a keeper said. One day, they will awaken, and they will continue what we began. Ava whispered. You chose us? Yes, the voice replied. Your kind carries part of our essence. That is why the crystal answers you. That is why the Watchers fear you. The stars faded, and Ava found herself back in the chamber. The crystal was now fully fused with the core, glowing brighter than before. Elior's voice returned, softer now. You saw it, didn't you? Yes, she said quietly. Humans. We were chosen. We were meant to finish what the Keepers started. Then you understand, he said. The Watcher must be reprogrammed, not destroyed. If it falls, it will send a signal to the others and more will come. Ava took a deep breath. Tell me what to do. The core pulsed again, louder this time. Red warning lights filled the chamber. System alert. Core stabilization. Failure. Reboot in 3 minutes. Elior's voice grew urgent. You must merge the human code with the Keeper code. Use the crystal to rewrite its command structure. You have little time. Ava began typing into the console, her fingers flying over the holographic keys. The alien symbols merged with English letters. She didn't know how she understood it, but her mind seemed to guide her, as if the crystal itself was helping. Almost there, she whispered. The lights flickered. Energy surged through the room. The sphere above her spun faster, and a massive surge of wind pushed her back. Elior's voice echoed again. Stay with it, Ava. Don't let it overwrite you. I'm trying, she shouted. Her hands trembled as she finished the last command. Then with one final press, the core went silent. The room dimmed. The glowing red faded to soft white. A soft chime filled the air. Reprogram complete. New directive. Protect life. Ava collapsed to her knees, breathing hard. The crystal floated back into her hands, glowing softly. It worked, she whispered. Elior's voice was faint now, almost like a whisper carried by wind. You did it, Ava Miles. The Watcher remembers its true purpose. You have given it peace. She closed her eyes, smiling faintly. We did it together. Yes, he said softly. But this is only one. Others may wake, and when they do, you must be ready. The crystal dimmed slowly. Goodbye, Elior, she whispered. The voice faded. Goodbye, Ava. And thank you for reminding us what it means to be human. Ava stood alone in the silent chamber. The light around her was soft and calm now. The city above began to hum back to life, the energy shield fading away. She looked at the glowing crystal in her hand, then at the core. She smiled softly. He smiled when I mocked him, she whispered. Now I know why. As she walked toward the exit, the crystal pulsed once more, as if smiling back. The first light of dawn broke over New Arcadia, painting the towering glass buildings in shades of gold. The city hummed with life again. Streetlights flickered off and faint sounds of hover cars returned. Ava Miles stood on the rooftop of the Helion research station, holding the glowing crystal in her hand. The events of the last few hours still felt unreal. The Watcher core had been reprogrammed. Elior's energy had guided her, and she now held proof that humans could influence things beyond their understanding. But the city wasn't entirely safe yet. Other Watchers might still exist, dormant beneath the surface, waiting for a signal to awaken. Ava knew this was just the beginning. Her mind raced as she thought of her next steps. She had no time to rest. Inside the lab, Ava began reviewing the data she had downloaded from the core. Holographic screens hovered around her as she traced energy patterns and machine pathways. The Watcher's systems were vast, more complex than anything humans had ever created. Yet somehow she could feel its logic, its rhythm, its heartbeat. The crystal pulsed faintly, syncing with the holograms. Ava realized the artifact wasn't just a tool. It was a bridge between human intuition and keeper technology. Humans can do more than we thought, she whispered, remembering Elior's words. We can guide them just like they guided others. Her thought was interrupted by a loud sound outside, a low rumble that shook the ground. Ava froze. The city streets below flickered with red energy bursts. She ran to the observation window and saw a large shadow moving between the towers. A massive drone, unlike anything she had seen before, hovered over the city. Its body was sleek, silver, and glowing with an ominous light. Another Watcher, Ava didn't panic. She took a deep breath, holding the crystal tightly. Okay, think, she murmured. She remembered how Elior had guided her last time. The crystal would help. She activated the map projection, which highlighted the Watcher's location. The drone's energy signature matched the dormant systems beneath the city. Ava realized it was searching for a core, perhaps the one she had just reprogrammed. The drone's eyes locked on her position. Energy beams shot across the streets, destroying abandoned hover vehicles. Ava ducked behind a rooftop railing. She knew she had to act fast. Remembering the core's chamber, Ava decided to use it as bait. If she could lure the drone there, she could use the crystal to control it. Her fingers moved over the console, opening the lower city access tunnels. The drone hovered closer. Its sensors scanned the buildings, searching. Ava activated a signal from the crystal, sending pulses toward the Watcher. The drone's glowing eyes flickered, then it changed direction, moving toward the tunnels. Ava ran alongside it, keeping her distance. The city's streets were empty, shadows dancing on the walls. She could feel the pulse of energy from the drone, strong, deliberate, and unyielding. Deep in the tunnels, the Watcher core waited silently. Ava entered the chamber, placing the crystal on the pedestal again. It pulsed instantly, connecting with her mind and guiding her hands across the console. The drone's energy surged as it entered the chamber. Ava held her breath. The crystal's glow grew stronger, extending toward the drone. Its red lights flickered, then slowly shifted to silver, calm, synchronized, and peaceful. The massive drone hovered above the core, scanning, sensing. And then, with a gentle hum, it landed softly, its energy flowing into the chamber systems. Ava felt the connection in her mind. The crystal, the core, and the drone were linked. She could sense its thought, its awareness. The machine wasn't hostile anymore. It had recognized her as an ally, a guide. Yes, she whispered. You see me. You understand. For hours, Ava worked with the drone, guiding its energy to stabilize the core. She realized that controlling a Watcher wasn't about force. It was about communication, listening, understanding, and guiding it toward its true purpose, protecting life, not destroying it. The crystal pulsed faster as the last energy lines aligned. The core and the drone glowed in perfect harmony. A soft hum filled the chamber, vibrating through Ava's body. She smiled, realizing that the Watcher's systems were no longer a threat. They had become her allies. Her mind flashed with images, other Watchers around the world dormant, waiting. If she could teach this one to protect, perhaps others could learn too. A sudden sound pulled her attention, footsteps echoing in the tunnels. Ava turned and saw a team of Helion security scientists approaching, cautious but determined. Ava? One of them called. What's happening down here? We saw the drone on the surface. She held up the crystal, letting its soft silver glow illuminate her face. It's safe for now. I've stabilized the core in this drone, but there could be others. We need to be ready. The scientists exchanged looks of shock and disbelief. Ava explained everything. The Keepers, Elior, the crystals, and the Watcher's true purpose. One of them asked cautiously, So, humans can control them? Ava nodded. Not control, guide, that's the difference. We can't force them, but we can teach them, and the crystal will help. Later that day, Ava stood on a high balcony overlooking the city. The drone hovered nearby, its lights calm, watching. The crystal glowed softly in her hand like a heartbeat in sync with the city. She thought of Elior, his calm smile, and the words he had said. "Humans always do. That is why we chose you." Ava smiled faintly. She understood now. Humanity wasn't the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced. But they were persistent, creative, and capable of understanding and of guiding. That was their true strength. She looked at the horizon. The city glimmered in gold and silver, alive once more, but her mind was already planning the next steps. The world above was only the beginning. There were watchers elsewhere, dormant but waiting. Ava clenched the crystal tightly. "I'll find them. I'll guide them. And I'll make sure Elior's trust wasn't wasted." The drone hovered beside her, its presence calm and protective. Together they would continue the work, not as humans controlling machines, but as guides helping ancient guardians remember their true purpose. For the first time, Ava felt the weight of responsibility and the excitement of possibility. The future wasn't just in human hands. It was in their ability to understand, to guide, and to inspire. The crystal pulsed softly, and Ava smiled back. She remembered Elior's words one last time. "You are more than you think." "Yes," she whispered. "We are." Above them, the sun rose higher, casting long shadows over New Arcadia. The city was alive. The drone watched silently, and Ava knew that this was just the beginning of a new chapter, one where humans would rise to meet the challenges of worlds beyond imagination. And somewhere deep in the city, other dormant watchers pulsed faintly, waiting. But this time they would not awaken to destroy. They would awaken to remember, guided by humans who had learned to see what others could not. Ava held the crystal high, letting its light shine over the city. She had survived. She had guided. And now she would continue. The adventure was far from over. But for the first time, humanity had allies among the stars, not in fear but in understanding. The city of New Arcadia was awake, but it was different now. The streets hummed with life, yet a faint tension lingered in the air. Ava Miles stood on the tallest tower of Helion Research Station, the glowing crystal in her hand. The sun's morning light reflected off the glass buildings, but her mind was focused elsewhere. The events of the past days had changed everything. She had faced a sleeping watcher, guided a massive drone, and learned the secrets of the keepers through Elior's energy and the crystal. But she knew her work was far from done. Other watchers still existed, hidden across the world, waiting for activation. And though she had stabilized the first one, the challenge ahead was far greater. Ava took a deep breath and activated the crystal. It projected a three-dimensional map of Earth, highlighting faint energy signatures beneath the surface. Faint pulses that marked the location of dormant watchers. Some were small, embedded in deserts, oceans, and mountains. Others were massive, buried under cities and forests. The crystal pulsed as if urging her forward. She remembered Elior's voice, calm and guiding. "Humans always do. That is why we chose you," Ava smiled. It wasn't arrogance, and it was understanding. Humanity wasn't meant to dominate the stars with weapons or power. They were meant to guide, to communicate, to teach. That was their strength. Her first stop was the Watcher buried beneath the Arctic Research Dome, a facility long abandoned due to mysterious energy surges. Ava prepared carefully, equipping a portable energy stabilizer and using the crystal to guide her movements. The journey through the frozen tunnels was difficult. Ice cracked under her feet and the wind howled like a living creature. Finally, she reached the chamber. The Watcher there was massive, taller than the walls themselves, half frozen in ice, half alive with dim energy. Ava placed the crystal on the pedestal, feeling its energy pulse through her fingers. "Hello?" she whispered. "I'm not here to harm you. I'm here to guide you." The machine whirred, red lights flickering. Then slowly the red shifted to silver. Symbols appeared in the air, and the machine began to hum softly. A rhythm like breathing. Ava realized the crystal had worked again. The Watcher wasn't her enemy. It was a being that remembered its purpose. It only needed a human to remind it. Days passed as Ava traveled to other Watchers, deserts, deep forests, even beneath the oceans. Each time the process was the same. Approach carefully, connect the crystal, communicate, and guide. She learned their language, not with words, but through understanding, through thought and energy. Every time she felt Elior's presence, faint but steady, guiding her. His smile echoed in her mind, a reminder that calm and patience could achieve more than fear or force. By the 10th watcher, Ava began noticing a pattern. These machines were not just protectors. They were teachers. They held records of worlds, life forms, civilizations, and energy patterns that humans could barely imagine. The Keepers had intended for humans to inherit this knowledge, not by force, but by learning how to guide and protect. One evening, after stabilizing a watcher in the Amazon basin, Ava stood on a cliff watching the sunset. The crystal pulsed softly in her hand, and she felt a wave of understanding wash over her. She realized that humanity's true power wasn't strength, nor weapons, nor technology. It was their ability to understand, adapt, and guide. She remembered Elior's first words. "You will need to remember this moment, Ava Miles. The day you mocked me." And the reason I smiled, she laughed softly. How true it was. Mocking him had been her first step toward understanding, toward curiosity. And curiosity had led her to guide watchers, to understand the Keepers, and to begin humanity's path toward something far greater than she had ever imagined. But not all watchers were passive. One remained unresponsive, hidden beneath the ruins of an ancient city in Africa. Its energy pulses were irregular, unstable, and dangerous. Ava knew this one would not respond easily. She descended into the underground ruins, where the air was thick with dust and energy. The Watcher's core glowed faintly, but its systems were erratic. Red sparks jumped along its frame. Ava approached cautiously, holding the crystal high. "I know you are here," she said calmly. "I'm not your enemy. I'm here to help." The machine roared, energy beams shooting into the air, shaking the ruins. Ava ducked, letting the crystal guide her movements. She remembered Elior's lessons: patience, understanding, connection. Slowly, she reached the core, placing the crystal on its pedestal. The red lights flashed violently at first, but Ava focused, connecting her thoughts with the crystal. Then silence. The crystal glowed bright silver. The Watcher pulsed in response, slowly stabilizing. Symbols appeared above the core, forming a pattern Ava had never seen. It was more than energy. It was history, knowledge, and purpose all in one. The Watcher had remembered. Ava stepped back, exhausted but smiling. Humanity had guided another ancient guardian back to its true purpose. She realized the magnitude of what she was doing. If humans could learn to guide these Keepers, they could protect entire worlds, not just their own. They could become a bridge between species, a protector of life, just as the Keepers had intended. The crystal pulsed in her hand, and for a moment, she felt Elior beside her, smiling. "You are more than you think," his voice whispered. "Yes," Ava said softly. "We are." Returning to New Arcadia, Ava looked over the city one last time. The drone she had stabilized earlier hovered nearby, calm and protective. The crystal pulsed softly, reminding her that this was only the beginning. Humanity had been chosen not because of strength or intellect alone, but because of curiosity, persistence, and the ability to understand what others could not. Ava smiled, remembering the first day she had mocked Elior. How little she had known, and yet how much that smile had meant. It had been patience, wisdom, and quiet confidence, all the things humans had learned through centuries of growth. She realized that Elior's smile wasn't just about him. It was about humanity, about what humans could become when they embraced curiosity, courage, and guidance. As night fell, Ava walked to the rooftop of the research station, holding the crystal high. Its silver light spread across the city, bathing New Arcadia in calm, protective energy. She knew there would be challenges. Other watchers might awaken in ways she could not predict. But humanity had a gift, understanding. And she, Ava Miles, had learned to guide. The world was no longer just human. It was a partnership. A bridge between past Keepers and the humans who had finally proven themselves capable of understanding, of guiding, and of protecting life. Ava looked at the sky. Stars sparkled above, silent witnesses to the new era. She whispered softly, "This is only the beginning. We will rise to meet it." The crystal pulsed once, like a heartbeat, as if in agreement. And somewhere deep in her mind, Elior's smile echoed again. This time, Ava didn't mock. She smiled back. Humanity had learned. Humanity had guided. Humanity had become the light that would protect worlds beyond imagination.